Have you ever wondered what scientists do? Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I help people understand how their minds work and how to think like a scientist. Science always begins with observations of the real world. For example, in my last research study, I met with a lot of participants and they shared with me some of their stories. And in their stories, there were a lot of coping mechanisms, a lot of shame, a lot of concealment. And then naturally, I got some questions in my mind. And the first thing you do is you go and see if someone has already answered these questions before. Because if they did, then you just need to learn about the topic. You don't need to go and research it. This is what we usually call a literature review. And what we're trying to find is a gap in the literature. And a gap is where we say, apparently no one's figured out the answer to this question yet. If you find out that no one has actually answered that question before, then it's very likely that this is something that needs to be researched. So what do you do now? You have your idea, you have a research question, you verified that no one else has done this before, so someone has to do it. What do you do next? The problem is that it's not enough to have a really good research idea, because you also need a few more elements for it to all come together. First of all, you need an institute that is happy to host this project, and that is usually a research institute or a university. You just got mail. So the research institute or the university, they need to be happy with hosting your project. You cannot do anything until you have that step. But also, you need a team. Research is not done by one person only. You need to gather up a team of experts, hopefully, or people who have some experience in the field that you want to research, and see what they think about it. Once you have the sponsoring institute on board and you have a team of researchers who want to work with you on your project, now what you need is the funding. Every project needs to be funded. There are a lot of expenses that run while running a project. There are salaries, there are compensations for participants, some instruments, devices. So then what do? You apply for funding at one of the places that usually provide funding to research studies. Usually these places are divided based on the niche or the topic or the field. So health-related funders are usually not the same as engineering-related funders. So you just need to find out who funds the kind of research that has to do with your research question. When you do, you apply to them. You put together a proposal. Your proposal has to have a timeline and also a budget and how that budget is going to be spent. Oh, this is my favorite part. If you impress the funding organization enough with your idea, how important it is, what kind of impact it could have on the community or the service user or advancements in science, I don't know. If you convince them, and you convince them that you have the right team for it, and you have all the experts who are going to be helping, and the university or the research institute are happy to host you, then you are basically competing with other people who are also applying for the same amount of funding. These funding institutions usually have an annual budget or a budget for a particular scheme of studies. You and many other researchers are probably applying for the same pool. So the funding institution does some triage. Sometimes the triage process happens at the host university before it even goes to the funding organization. Well, that one flew all the way over there. They're so pretty. This can get competitive because you are all competing for a limited resource and a limited pool of funding. However, a lot of these funding calls happen annually, so if you miss one, you can submit for the next year, or you can submit to something else. Let's say you get the funding. Then what you do is you start working on your research project, following as much as you can the plan that you had in place when you applied for the funding and applied for the sponsorship at the university. Depending on the university, sometimes this role can come with other tasks that they want you to do, like teach. So this is what I just did recently. I got an idea from talking to my participants. It always starts with a simple observation of real life, because these observations, they give you ideas, they make you see things. You connect the dots and you think, I wonder if this is normal, I wonder if this is common, I wonder why we do the thing that we do this way. This one needs to be a little bit shorter. So these are the steps to go from observing the real world around you to developing a question, checking whether the field needs this question to be answered, wondering what kind of advantage it would give to the community or society if we do have an answer for it. Then write it up in a proposal, make a plan, a multi-year plan, and a budget. Have a team that's there ready to help you, that believes in your idea, and believes in the impact it can have, and an institution that wants to host you. And when all of these things come together, you're ready to create science. Even though it feels a little bit daunting right now, those are steps that usually take a long time to put together. But don't forget that the end result is adding knowledge to the world that we didn't have before. So I would say it's really worth it. Not to mention whatever benefit will be reaped by those who are impacted by whatever it is you're trying to solve. If you like content like this, then follow me.